Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Poshcast. My name is Joe Carson. I'm the Director of Operations at Posh Digital Media. And we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. We wanted to make sure that we were able to kind of really give you a good, comprehensive breakdown on our topic for today, which is keyword bidding strategies. We've been talking about keywords over the last month, really kind of talking about, as you know, we covered types of keywords a couple weeks ago. We covered the keyword strategy a little bit. And today we're going to cover what I think and what, from what I understand when I talk to clients, is possibly the most confusing part of pay-per-click management, which is bidding strategies. How do you bid? What strategy should you use? There's a bunch of different ones that are utilized. There are, automated bidding strategies that like Google has on the back end of Google Ads. And then of course there's manual as well. I want to kind of cover those a little bit in detail. So I want to talk a little bit about the bidding process in general, what it is, how it works. I want to talk a little bit about the actual types of strategies that you can use, and kind of get into those a little bit. And then also I'd like to talk about what I think is the most effective keyword bidding strategy, especially for the small businesses out there that are watching this right now. So let's dive in a little bit. Let's first talk about what is this bidding strategy? What is bidding? How does this work? Well, bidding is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot like an auction. In fact, it is an auction. So when you have a keyword or a search term that you're trying to have your ad display when someone is using it as a query, how do you do that? Well, what happens is like we'll take a term like Detroit Google marketing, for example, is a term that I'll use as our example today. Detroit Google marketing, somebody types that in, or Google marketing Detroit, and then what happens is anybody who's using that has that as a targeted keyword in their ad is then entered into a big auction with everybody. So there could be thousands upon thousands of people who are trying to advertise for that one keyword. And then the system, what it does is it takes three major things into consideration when it does this. The first one that it takes into consideration is the bid. And we'll talk about that in a second. The second thing that it takes into consideration is the ad quality, which is based on a lot of different things, both like the destination that the ad takes them to, the types of keywords used in the ad, how your headlines are structured, how your descriptions are structured. Those are all taken into account. And we're going to talk about ad quality on the next episode, by the way. So stay tuned for that next week. But I want to talk a little bit about these things in particular. And then the third is the ad extensions and what their outcome is. And we've talked at length about ad extensions. You can watch a few episodes ago. In fact, I'll include a link in the written blog for that, so you can check that out as well. We've talked about ad extensions at length, and the ad extensions are a part of this. So essentially that part of it is sort of like how that ad displays. Like, what does the ad look like when it displays? How prominent is it going to be? That sort of thing. So anyway, so those are your three major factors. Now your bid is the maximum amount you want to spend on a click. So if you've got a term, let's say you're in, like for us, Google Marketing Detroit is a high value keyword. We want to be seen when people search that. So we're willing to bid more money on that click because that click is going to potentially lead to us getting a new client. If you're in the real estate industry, buy a house in whatever city is going to be a high value keyword. You're going to be okay with spending, anywhere between $5 to $20 on a click like that, because those are people that are searching to purchase a home. And so kind of depending on your industry, how competitive it is, how competitive the actual term is going to kind of determine who's going to win that bid. Now, let's say you are the highest bid in the auction with the best ad score, optimization score, and what you'll do is you'll end up paying 1 penny more than the person below you. So let's say you bid $3 on a key phrase like marketing in Plymouth, Michigan, for example, and then the next person below you bid $2.50. You're only going to spend $2.51 on that click. That's something that a lot of people understand. Everybody kind of thinks that you throw a bid and that's exactly what you're going to pay every click. Not the case, which is cool, and it's a good thing because obviously that reduces the cost of the click. So the better you are with your keyword strategies, as we talked about the last couple episodes, and also the more precise your targeting is and your ads are, the better off you're going to be, because you're gonna end up being able to win these auctions often. And there are a lot of metrics that are out there to kind of help you determine like whether or not that's the case. There's search impression share, top of page rate, absolute top of page rate, click share. Those are all competitive metrics that you can measure, and we'll probably do a future episode on competitive metrics in a few weeks to kind of talk about those a little bit. But for right now, we're going to stick on bidding strategies. So what happens next? Once your ad wins, so you get displayed. So Google kind of uses this system to figure out, and other pay-per-click systems like Bing do as well, what ad's going to display. What is the most relevant ad for this search term based on these factors? So your natural question might be, well, why wouldn't I just bid $1,000 on every search term? Because I'm not going to spend $1,000 on every search term. That's not necessarily the case, because much like if you're a small shoe store, independent shoe retailer, you're going to have to compete against Foot Locker. If you're in the mortgage, you're an independent mortgage broker, you're going to be competing against Quicken Loans. If you are in real estate, you're going to be competing against, the Keller Williams of the world, or Zillow in this situation, companies with gigantic advertising budgets that can absorb those costs. But you probably can't. Like, I guarantee you, your advertising budget is not going to be able to cover $1,000 per click. You probably can't cover $100 per click. Just imagine the number of searches that are done. There are 52 billion searches done on Google alone a day, 12 billion on Bing. How many of those searches are going to be involving you? That could be in the billions, which means that you could be getting charged for clicks that are way outside your budget range. So it is not a smart strategy to just bid the most you possibly can for all your key terms. Doesn't work well. So what is a more effective bidding strategy? We'll talk about that at the end. So what are the different types of bidding strategies? There's mainly two different kinds of bidding strategies out there. There are manual bidding strategies, and then there are automated or smart bidding strategies. I don't like to call them smart bidding strategies because I think that mischaracterizes them a little bit. They're definitely automated, we'll put it that way, and I'll explain the difference, why I make that distinction in a little bit. First off, let's talk about manual bidding strategies. There's mainly just two that are one's completely manual and the other one is mostly manual. So your first one's going to be what we call manual cost per click. Manual cost per click involves you coming up with a list of keywords and then you setting an individual bid for each one. So you determine the value per click on each one of those keywords for you. Now, I will caution you that if you are someone who is new to Google Ads, or new to pay-per-click advertising, this can be a very difficult type of bidding strategy to manage. And the reason why is because you will be adjusting your bids pretty much every day, sometimes a few times a day, just to kind of hone in on where you're at. Because what happens is over the day, the cost to get on that first page and the cost to appear at the top are going to increase for those terms, or decrease depending on what's going on. So you could be overbidding or you could be underbidding for those terms. If you're underbidding, you're not going to display. And if you're overbidding, you're going to be paying more than you probably should. So it's important to understand that if you're going to be utilizing that strategy, you really need to be available to manage your ads. or hire somebody to do it, which is what we do. There is the, you can add a new feature. This is a newer thing to manual cost per click. It's called enhanced cost per click. And what this does is it kind of manually adjusts bids based on specific behaviors. Like, for example, if you own a restaurant, searches for your business are going to kind of fall around meal times. And so Google knows to bump your ads bidding up to match the average, so that way you're able to actually appear in the auction and then eventually become your ad will display. That's a nice feature to have. That way you kind of know, like, okay, I don't have to go in at dinner time and adjust all these budgets individually. I can just let the system do it for me. And then the other, sort of quote unquote manual, or one of the older bidding strategies, I guess is the best way to put it, is maximize clicks. And that does exactly what you want it to do. It will maximize the number of clicks you can get based on your set monthly budget without, going past it. So if you have or daily budget, so let's say you have a daily budget of $20. Google will go through and spend that close to that $20 they can a day to get you the most clicks based on browsing behavior and things like that. Where what maximize clicks does, it gets a lot of clicks for your site, and it's not necessarily a bad strategy. It's just a very untargeted strategy, or on its own, it's an untargeted strategy. If you're going to utilize that strategy, you really need to have a very limited strategic list of keywords and really learn how to target audiences within Google Ads. And, again, we're probably going to be doing an audience episode as well in the near future. So stay tuned for that. But to understand the different types of audiences and things like that. But if you don't have a really good dialed in strategy for that, maximize clicks can become a very expensive and wasteful bidding strategy. So I would be careful when utilizing that. The nice thing about maximize clicks is you don't have to adjust your bids all the time. You can set a maximum bid and your daily budget and just let it rip, and that's fine. If you're a busy person and you own your own business and you decide you want to try to do this yourself, that might be an option for you, but it can be very wasteful if you're not careful. So I just caution against that. And then there's the automated bidding strategies that Google has introduced over the last year or two. Now these are, they call them their smart bidding strategies. I don't like that term because I don't necessarily think that these strategies always fall into the line of being the smartest strategies available. For a variety of reasons. Now, not that any of them are individually like bad, or that they don't necessarily, that they aren't good, but it just, there's definitely some waste that can be associated with them. There's a bunch of them. I'm going to run through them, kind of describe what they do for you real quick here. The first one is, these are all kind of like if you're trying to focus on conversions. So you'll need to have your conversion script loaded into your website code if you want to be able to utilize these strategies. If you optimize for these strategies and you don't have the code, you will not see the results. You'll see clicks, but you won't know what they're doing, and it becomes a big waste. So you definitely need to have the event snippets and Google tags loaded into your code prior to utilizing these bidding strategies. So number one, target CPA, target cost per action. So let's say you have a website and you have an e-commerce store online, or you have a page like this one that you just came to that has a video on it that you're playing and listening to, or you have a form that you want people to fill out. So target cost per action will essentially let you target a specific cost that you're willing to incur for somebody to take an action on this particular page. So what's it worth for me to have you watch this video? I would have to determine that and then bid accordingly. So some actions are not high value. No offense to those of you watching, but this isn't exactly like a high value action for us. I'm hoping you get some value out of it. I'm hoping that, you're learning and able to try to utilize some of the things that we go over. But for me personally and for our business, it's not like a huge thing. This is really just kind of like, informational, educational stuff that we do. And so I'm not going to bid real high on that cost per action. Now, if I have a lead form, I will definitely bid a little higher for that, because a lead form can lead to a client. It can lead to somebody filling out the form, giving me their information, where then we can follow up and hopefully onboard them as a client. So determining that cost, and if we have an e-commerce store, for example, we can kind of determine what each sale is worth to us. And you can adjust on your conversion script, you can adjust what value you assign to each conversion as well. So, and then you can target those values with Target CPA. Now, if you want to, let's say so let's go back to Target CPA. So Target CPA is really good, and like we talked about e-commerce, if you sell a lot of different products and you want to kind of control the cost per action that's taken. So let's say you're selling, let's go back to our shoe salesman. Let's say you've got a shoe store online and you sell, different types of shoes. And let's say on a pair of dress shoes, you make $20. On a pair of, Jordan sneakers, you make $40. You're probably going to want to target your cost per action on a purchase of the loafers or the dress shoes a little lower than you would the sneakers, because your profit margin is different. So if you sell a lot of products with different profit margins, Target CPA might be very good for you. Now let's look at its kind of counterpart, is Target return on ad spend. Target return on ad spend is sort of like a blanket way of doing Target CPA. You can assign one value to all of your conversions equally, and this will then allow like the ad spend to just kind of be distributed evenly across those. This is a really good, this is a decent one for, say, if all of your conversions kind of have similar values, like if your profit margin on the shoes were between $20 and $25 versus 20 and 40, or if you are selling a little bit of a higher ticket item and your value is pretty much equal across the board, then Target ROAS could probably be a better strategy for you, because you don't have to individually assign conversion value to each item. You can just set one conversion value across the board. I do kind of caution against this one a little bit, only because conversion, I mean, think about it this way, even if your target is, let's say your target is 20, if your conversion value is between $20 and $25 and you want to spend $250 on each one, you are losing some money on the $20 conversions, and you may want to adjust that to be a little less than the $250 per conversion. So just a thought, as you're dealing with higher volume type things, you could really start to see some expenses that are being wasted as a result. The next one is maximize conversions. This will do what it says. It maximizes the conversions that you get. This is great for lead generation. This is probably your best bidding strategy for lead generation if you are, if you're in sales of some kind, whether you're in real estate or mortgage, or you're a lawyer, a doctor, whatever you are. Basically anything that you're not going to sell directly online, but you want a lead for, this is a good way to do it. This basically assigns one equal value to every single conversion action and spends the budget equally across the board to obtain those conversions. So your conversion, and then this way it just goes off your budget. So you may have, if you're an attorney or a doctor, you may be spending $100 a day or more on these ads, but that's because the LTV of your lead is a lot higher. Real estate, same thing. Your purchase price and your commission base is a lot higher than, say, the shoe salesman, or if you're selling watches or something along those lines, you're selling a widget, for example. So you may be willing to spend more. You may be willing to spend $30 to $40 for a conversion for a qualified lead. A mortgage, same deal. This is not a good strategy for smaller companies or companies that sell smaller ticket items. I would say that if your profit margin is anywhere under $1,500, I would not be utilizing this strategy. It just is not a good thing. And if you're running e-commerce, it's not great either. Even if you're selling higher ticket items on e-commerce, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. It's just it spends the budget too evenly to really kind of be effective. And then the last one is maximize conversion value. So what this will do is it kind of combines the enhanced CPC feature that they introduced for manual cost per click when we talked about at the beginning. It enhances that, it kind of adds that feature to target return on ad spend. So what it does, it takes all the target return on ad spend stuff, and then it adds this extra like manual bidding increase decrease feature. And this is one that I haven't seen a lot of people use recently, even though, and it's fairly new. I think that it has some value for sure. You'll see basically what it's going to do is it's going to take what's the highest conversion value you have and try to bid to get those to happen. So if you are in a situation where you're selling, a variety of products and you have different profit margins and things like that, as long as you have the information uploaded into this ad, you'll be able to kind of target those things. So if somebody were to say, if somebody were to buy the Jordan sneakers, which are higher value, you'll get that will display more frequently over time. It's a little bit of a trickier one. I think it involves probably the most machine learning of all the automated strategies, which can be good and it may not be that great. It kind of depends on your business and what you're doing. I give consultations on this quite frequently, and this is one that comes up occasionally that people kind of wonder, well, why would I hire somebody to do this if I can just kind of automate the whole thing? And this is where we're going to get into what's the best strategy overall. Out of all these strategies, I mean, in 99% of stuff with pay-per-click ads, as you know, has to do with, specific industries, specific markets, specific everything, right? So what bidding strategy gives you the most power behind what you're doing? And I'm going to throw it out there. It is the manual cost per click, the old school, the oldest bidding strategy that is available for pay-per-click ads is still the best for a lot of reasons. Number one, cost control. If you're a small business and you don't have a huge advertising budget, this is an excellent way to control how much money you're spending. It's the most control you're able to have. As you're going through this, you'll see most of these things are auto bids, not great. I would say also to use the enhanced CPC feature on this as well. So why else is it great? Well, number two, you are able to kind of manage the other side of the equation when you're able to see what things are being searched for. You can then quickly manually add negative keywords and other types of search terms to your campaign. If you didn't do that originally, or your ad is displaying in a kind of a strange category for you, you can quickly and easily move it into the negative keyword category and it won't show up anymore. Recently a real estate client of mine, one of their ads popped for mobile homes. They don't sell mobile homes, so we had to, quickly make that a negative. But this is the strategy we use at Posh for all of our clients. We don't automate your bid strategies. We don't run dynamic bidding or dynamic targeting ads. We run, directly targeted, manually created ads and bidding strategies. And this is the reason why we're able to experience the success we do for our clients, is because we're taking the time, we're utilizing trained professionals to do this as opposed to, an automated system that isn't necessarily producing results. So thanks so much. I want to close it out and just say thank you guys for hanging in today, kind of learning a little bit about bidding strategies. If you do have questions about this, or you are thinking about running pay-per-click ads, or you are running pay-per-click ads and they're not effective, contact us. We'll be happy to give you a free consultation, run a market report for you, kind of let you know what's going on, and hopefully help you grow your business through pay-per-click ads. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll be talking soon. Thanks.